Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hakeem Kae-Kazim and Valerie Keller.
Hi, my name is Hakeem Kae-Kazim. I'm here on behalf of Peace One Day and Climate Action Live to interview co-founder and co-chair of Imagine. Now, this group, Imagine, is incredible because they bring business people up to be more sort of socially and humanitarianly responsible. Valerie, let's go. Now, am I right in what I've just said there? Is that your aim in Imagine?
That's
make business people use their power for good?
Yeah, that's pretty close. I mean, we were birthed in song during the UN General Assembly a couple of years ago, really holding space for what the song Imagine says. And when we got to the part, Hakeem, where we said all the people sharing all the world, everyone started to sing. So there's this notion of, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And that's what Imagine stands for, is actually bringing together those leaders, those human beings who happen to be leading big businesses with global supply chains, so comprised of human beings around the world, to our dreamers. And not just dreamers, but who have the power to act and who have the power to act together. And when they do, they have the power to actually reverse climate change and to help to solve inequality. There is an idea whose time has come, which says that it's up to each of us as human beings right now, wherever we are in our positions of influence, but particularly those who are in positions of business influence, to start to play the game within our planetary boundaries and in a way that works for all of us, not just a few of us.
What do you think, Valerie, are some of our greatest sort of threats? I love the idea of, making sort of business and responsible and coming hand in hand and understanding it's part of the human global family. So what are the greatest threats outside of that, as it were?
Well, I mean, actually, in some ways, I think that puts the finger on the pulse. The greatest threat right now, honestly, is ourselves. Human beings are either the angel or the animal, as we know. And I think your work in Hotel Rwanda really illustrated that in a powerful, powerful way. And I've been in Rwanda myself. I visited the genocide memorial there. And I think what we saw and what we know, those of us who have looked at what happens when human beings don't think about ourselves as one tribe, we think about ourselves in small we's, we can be really unkind to each other. And I think that when we say right now, we've got rising inequality around the world, we have a planet that we are not living within our planetary boundaries. Climate change is a global threat for all of us. I mean, Mother Earth is going to be around. She's just going to be around in a potentially different form. And of course, what's happening in terms of the species loss, the other species that we share the planet with, that we have helped to cause. So all of that, Hakeem, comes from the mindset that we even saw perpetuated in what you portrayed in Hotel Rwanda, what I have lived through in some other ways in my own background that I'll share as well, is that mindset that says we're not all part of one human family, we're not all living within our planetary boundaries, and therefore we then act in silos versus being able to say, okay, what if we were playing the game for a world that worked for everybody, that stayed within our planetary boundaries? How might we make and take differently? And business people, human beings, are leaders too. And I think the thing that gives me hope, having said the challenges of our time, is that people are awake. They see what time it is, they're human beings who care, and they're mobilizing quickly. Problem is, the system that we're currently operating within, the way that we've played the game for business and the world, has often been short-term, for me versus a bigger we, shareholders only versus the wider set of stakeholders. And the way that we then made things, the way that we would create even fashion or our food, wasn't done in ways that was regenerative, was actually taking care of our planet and living within our boundaries.
Do you think that we as humanity are going to be able to get there? And that I'm talking about overcome that space between who we are in terms of business and politics, and and just encompass that space so that we are doing the greater good for the planet and for humanity.
Yeah, I love the question, and you're absolutely right. I think if you just look at the political leaders and the way that we've kind of clumped our global governance, we say, okay, a few men, right, basically in these powerful positions can't screw it up for the rest of us. And I think that in Imagine, we very much are looking at from a science-based view lens of saying, just look at the data around climate, look at what's happening in terms of our global goals. Humanity has taken a big stand. We came together, which we've never done in our history as a species, to say we stand for 17 global goals under which peace, right? The level playing field, the how we work and play together is the foundation principle for that. Having said that, if we just leave our destiny in the hands of a few people in government, we know we're not going to get there. And I think that's part of what's driving the awakening of business leaders. And I'm doing the kind of weird air quote thing because these are human beings. These are human beings who know that if they act together, they can actually set new standards. They actually can change what happens in terms of a business and these global supply chains and how things are done without waiting on the politicians. Let me share a personal story quickly. When I came into this world, I was born about 2 hours, I was born in the Deep South in Louisiana, then my parents moved into a cult in the cornfields of Indiana. So I grew up in a cult. So where I grew up, money didn't matter. It wasn't what you were playing the game for. You were playing the game for taking care of each other and for fulfillment. About 2 hours down the road from the cult of cornfields where I was growing up, there was another doctrine that was being preached by a guy named Milton Friedman. And Milton Friedman was teaching a gospel that was saying, oh, it's about profits, it's about shareholders, and the purpose of business is making money. That is a made-up construct that now people are starting to divorce themselves of. If you go back to originally to how human beings started, we invented money. We made up this concept, and then we made it God, and we made it the thing we're all trying to spend our time, aka our lives, to get some money, to get some stuff. What? Yeah. So, the thing that gives me hope is that the doctrine of Milton Friedman was what a lot of people were born into. So then you went to school, you went and got an MBA. I mean, I got one too. When I was homeschooled in the cornfields, and then I went to Oxford and did an MBA to figure out, like, what is this business thing? And there's so many people who were raised in the cult of capitalism as we knew it, which is we're here to maximize value for shareholders in a short-term horizon, and we can do anything that we need to do, barring hurting some people in a bad way to do it. It doesn't fit, it doesn't work, and people know it. Milton Friedman would not, if he was around in this reality today, Hakeem, he wouldn't even be saying the things that he was saying then. So if we wake up and we're like, oh, business isn't just for shareholders and profit maximization in the short. That's not why we did this, and that's not okay for us to do that. We know better now. We know better now.
Well, so let's bring it back then to this day of, so how do we stop? How do we encourage people to come to this day of action, and how do we help promote the less cynical sort of aspects of who we are in this day of action and spread the word?
I think that we be the change wherever we are. I think to have a sense of confidence that we aren't alone. And I think this Peace One Day is a real part of that. Humanity as a species, as the animal angel that we are, has said it's not okay. It's not okay for our brothers and sisters in Africa or in India or in China or in other parts of the world to be suffering while I'm And COVID helped to see that too. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we would have seen, and the Black Lives Matter and what happened with George Floyd would have happened if we hadn't been in a big giant pause and able to see the systemic imbalances that were always there. The way that I got out of the cult, Hakeem, in the cornfields, was that I felt that I was born in this avatar, that my body just happened to be this white woman thing, and therefore I was playing, that my soul could have been born in the opposite of me. I could have looked like you. I could have been born in Africa instead of America. And if that was the case, then I might have actually not had enough food for my family. I might have had a whole other environment for that. Now, I grew up poor in the US context, but nothing compared to what other human beings have been. So getting me out of the cult is saying, that's it. I'm just random. My soul is born into a random body. What if I optimized it for what could have been the opposite of me? The least, the last, and the lost, as they would have said in some way. If we come from that space that says we're all one dream, one team, we're all tribe humanity, and we together can create the business systems, we can create the community environments that play it for all of us, that is possible.
That's amazing. I think that's fantastic. And what a wonderful call to action for anybody and everybody that listens to this and that listens to the Climate Action Day Live. I think it's been fantastic to talk to you. I'm completely inspired and a lot more optimistic than I was before this. And I think that it's great to know that you are out there and there are people like you out there and that the change is coming.